everybody, it's Mike Young at Mountain Ridge Farms, and I am proud to present, or whatever the best word is, this is my new installation of our vineyard. And this vineyard is not for alcohol. If you know anything about our nonprofits, we're all about human health. And alcohol has no place in that, unfortunately. It's a group 1 carcinogen, but let's move on to the grapes. We're not gonna eat the spoiled grapes. That's what you need to know. We're gonna eat grapes that we actually know how they were grown. They were grown or better than organically, totally chemical free, regeneratively, just the best you can possibly do. And I want to show you what I've done here, okay? So you can see what's going on. These are like our babies, our infants. And grapes, I've never grown before. I used to grow plants when I was in late elementary and early middle school. I'm 54 years young now, so it's been a while. But this is about life. We are about health. We need to know where our food is coming from, and the only way you're going to know for sure, outside of taking somebody's word, is to grow it yourself. So that's what we're here to show you. Now, this is kind of cool. This, thanks to Mascatello at Planetary Farms in Hillsborough, Virginia, this is our trellis, or our, arch. And I can easily stand underneath here. Now, let me explain what this is. I built this first before I planted the plants, okay? It's a multi-step process. Basically, you got these T-bars, and they're T-bars because if you look on top, it's like in the shape of a T. You gotta line everything, you gotta measure everything. You pound these in with a sledgehammer, and they have some markings down below where you can see when you hit ground level. But you gotta measure them also so that they are spaced properly, so that they can fit in between, and you can fasten this cattle containment paddle. So this is designed for animal agriculture. It's strong, okay? We're not using it for animal agriculture, obviously. We're using it to grow grapes. And what you need to do basically is get these, so you got 2 of these T-bars in the ground on each side, and those are pretty darn sturdy. And you can see, I pulled out a lot of rocks. These are just some of the rocks. Other rocks are buried underneath this little wall of soil, and I'll explain this in a minute why I did it that way. So this was tough work, pounding these things down. There's 20 of them, because there's 4 per arch, and we have 5 arches. 4 times 5 is 20, if you guys didn't know math. And then I've got 5 clips holding to each T-bar. So I got 10 clips on each side, 20 clips on each one, 100 clips all together. And these clips are hard. You got to bend these things with pliers. It was some tough work, let me tell you. Tough work, but like I said, you've got to prepare everything. You got to do it just right. You don't want to have to start over again and rip everything out, which is basically what you have to do. If you do it right, you get results like you've never seen before. And I really hope, I have very high expectations that this is going to be an incredible setup for us. So let me flip the camera around so I can show you more. All right. So as you can see, we've got 5 of these. There's Denise. Denise is interrupting my live video. Denise can say hi. Hi. Denise just watched. Actually, she watched, but she did help me fasten these. The first 2 clips that you fasten on each side of these containment panels are incredibly difficult, because once you fasten them, it's not going to move. So you need a second person. That's the only thing I needed a second person for. Most of it I did myself, but Denise held initially this so I could put 2 clips at the bottom and 2 clips at the top, and then I did the other ones. Actually, I did this clip level. And this is strong. That's the thing. Why are we using this? Well, one thing, it's only like $35 a panel, brand new, and it's super strong. The only thing you might run into is if a tree branch falls on it. That actually happened at Planetary Farms. But outside of that, it's going to hold the weight of these. Just make sure you fasten it properly. Make sure these are driven into the ground, and that will allow you to have a good structure for the grapes. So actually, Denise came out at a good time, so I could give her credit for what she did. And you also notice there's a gap in between, because we're on a slope. They just start to drop down in height, which is not needed. But also you need this gap to get, you can get a ladder in, because some of these grapes may be very hard to get, all right? So you want to get a ladder in between each one so you can harvest them, and you can walk through it too. Hopefully it should look pretty cool. And you can either do 1 plant per arch or 1 on each side, so 2 plants per arch, and that's what we decided to do, is 2 plants per arch. Now let me explain some things here, kind of like other things at Mountain Ridge Farm. We're on a ridge. That's the top of the mountain right over there, okay? So everything starts to slope down. That's the ridge going across this way. It slopes down that way. That's why you can see sky, and it slopes down this way. So we need to terrace this, kind of like terrace farming, because we want to catch the water as it runs down. It's not flat, so you don't have the benefit of the water kind of staying at surface after it rains. It's going to run straight down. So I built these to capture that water. And I piled rocks and initial soil I dug out of the hole. All right. Then I covered it with this topsoil. Then I put more rocks because I had to secondarily dig the finished hole. The base hole provided me with that. These other rocks here were something that I pulled out as I was finishing it. Finishing it meaning making it as wide as you can so that the roots have a chance to spread out, because I hadn't quite done that. And let me tell you, I needed a pickaxe. This was a lot of work. You can see there's a lot more rocks over here. And this is just some of the ones you're seeing. There's a lot more rocks underneath. This is the second layer of rocks that came out of this hole. Look at the size of this thing. There were sparks flying when I was hitting this in here. But again, you need to do this now because it'll stunt the growth of the plant. The roots won't be able to go anywhere if you don't do this. So what I did was I got these plants, these grapevines, they all came. We did an unboxing video, so check that out. And it says to add some kind of moisture retention thing so you can water less. I didn't do that because we don't want to do chemicals. And it said you can use a fertilizer pellet, but we don't want to use chemicals, so I didn't do that either. But it says also, like on the cherry trees that we also already installed that are next to adjacent to this, we did not put any compost in the hole unless it was accidentally rolling in, which is fine. But we didn't put much at all, basically none. Because we don't want to burn the roots. We didn't put any fertilizer in. We don't want to burn the roots. We're not using fertilizer anyway. Not using any chemical fertilizers because that's not organic. So, or we're better than organic. We don't want to do any chemicals at all. So as you can see, each thing is, it's all lined up and designed. And by the way, I will tell you, I did not use any measuring for this. I did it all with my feet. It's good for having size 12 feet. It's about a foot. But you can use anything as a unit of measurement. And it's pretty darn close, as you can see. And some of these are twisted, especially over here where we had a lot of rocks. The T-bars, ideally you want to get straight. You really want, but see how this is twisted? It's because it hit all this rock when I was pounding it in with the sledgehammer. It's a lot of work. Unless you're doing this in sand, and if you're doing this in sand, it may just collapse. So I don't know. It's going to be a lot of work, I'd say, regardless of how you do this. All right, so let's get to when we installed the actual grapes. When I put them in, I was secondarily digging with the pickaxe, got all the rocks out, so it was a little bit of soil, and then I gathered some other native soil, actually from up the hill where I'm going to plant a fig, which is right over there. Some nice native soil that's already here, and I made a little hole out of that, kind of shoved it around because it's all loose, and I dropped in each one of the varieties of grapes, and you can watch our unboxing video to see which varieties we got. Spread out the roots, and then backfill with more of this natural native soil. Again, not compost, not fertilizer, native soil. What you see is not native soil, because after I did that, I watered it a few times, made sure everything's stable, kind of tuck it in, make sure it's not going to fall over. Not too much pressure on the roots though. And then I put this layer of topsoil as basically a mulch to keep that water in there. It's been watered so heavily. That's very important. And very important is infrequent and heavy watering, so encourage deep root growth and the roots spreading out. You don't want to do light watering. You don't want to do it often. You want to do it infrequent, and you want to do super heavy waterings. There's some of the most important things you can do, especially when this is starting off. And then eventually what we'll have to do, and I got to learn this process, you can see like one of the varieties we have here. This is a Einset seedless grapevine, 3 years old, but I guess it is. Anyway, it requires lots of specific pruning, okay? So I'm gonna learn that process. Basically, it has to jump up to here, and when it does, it'll start climbing, and it'll go hopefully all the way up here where it'll start to fruit. On the top, so we want to keep the fruit away from the bear and the deer and everything else that we have over here. This one will do the same thing. So we're gonna have 2 vines, 2 different varieties. I spread them out, kind of randomized them. We'll see, some are in different microclimates because we have like 2 and 3 of some, and others are singles. But we'll do update videos as we go. I just want to make this video to kind of document the fact that I set it up. And as you can see with the mulch, I kind of left a little like bowl shape here so that natural rainfall can gather, and also it provides a space where I pour water in, which I'm going to do. Hand water each one with a bottle, like a baby. Then it tends to not run off. It tends to stay here and just soak down. And I want a with lots of water at each time that we water. And you can see from this angle, we didn't get this angle, you can see what it looks like. So these are basically stopping the water that's running down the hill from progressing any further. It's catching it for the plants. Kind of similar to what we did with the cherry trees where they're terraced. I think that about wraps up this video. You can see how it looks here, the arch. Let me know your comments, anything you have in the comments, questions you have about what we're doing. If you want to know more about our nonprofit, go to aPlantBasedDiet.org. We have, and also everything's about health. Like I said earlier in this video, you only know what you're eating if you're growing it yourself. It's the only way you're going to know. Otherwise, you're just taking somebody's word, and we know people don't tell the truth, unfortunately. So we are trying to optimize people's health for health span and longevity. And we have our best event that we offer, which is our annual health optimization cruise every January. Learn more about that at healthoptimizationcruise.org. And we hope that as we're growing here, we're now becoming farmers. I'm not only a chief foodie officer of the nonprofit, but a chief farming officer now, CFO, same title, that we're going to have even more special events, hopefully involving some of the harvests we have. I don't know. We're going to have to dream stuff up. So let us know in the comments your experience with growing grapes. Let me know any tips that I need to know, because this is all new. And this is some work just to get these things started. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like this video to help us out in the algorithm. And of course, be a subscriber. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.